If you get money wrong in your 20s, you don't just lose money, you lose decades. Think about that for a second. Most people your age are, if you get money wrong in your 20s, you don't just lose money, you lose decades. Think about that for a second. Most people your age are quietly locking themselves into being stressed, overworked, and broke at 40, with choices they're making right now and not even thinking about. Are you one of them, and you don't even realize it yet? Stay with me until the end of this video, because once you see the 7 purchases that actually shape your financial future, you'll never look at your money the same way again. And if you're already thinking, man, nobody ever explained this to me, hit like right now, share this with a friend in their 20s, and subscribe so you don't miss the stuff school should have taught us but didn't. Let's be real for a second. Your 20s feel like financial quicksand. You're watching people you know finance cars they can't afford, swipe credit cards for nights out they barely remember, take on huge student loans for degrees that might land them making lattes, and then complain about being broke while ordering DoorDash 3 times a week. Meanwhile, you're stuck wondering, am I supposed to do the same thing? Or is there a smarter way that nobody around me is talking about? Here's the uncomfortable truth nobody likes to say out loud. The purchases you make in your 20s decide whether your 30s are about building wealth or about praying your car doesn't decline. It's that serious. Most people get this completely backwards. They think, I'll enjoy my 20s, spend now, live later. I'll get serious about money in my 30s. That's like saying you'll start training for a marathon the night before the race. My name is Nick. I've spent way too much time watching why some people quietly escape the financial hamster wheel, while others run on it their entire lives. And I've made both kinds of mistakes myself, moves I'm proud of, and some truly stupid ones that set me back years. So no, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. I'm just someone who's obsessed with what actually works in the real world. If you're tired of seeing the same depressing number in your bank account month after month, subscribe, hit that like button, and share this video with someone who needs a wake-up call, because what we're about to cover are 7 purchases that show up again and again in the lives of people who actually build freedom young. Not hype, not lottery wins, just decisions that compound. All right, let's dive in. But first, one idea you need to feel in your bones. Every dollar in your 20s is louder than it will ever be again. $100 invested at 25 can turn into thousands by 50. $100 blown on junk you forget about? Gone forever. Your 20s are not practice. They are the opening chapter that everything else gets built on. So let's talk about what to actually spend money on. Purchase number 1, and this one might sound weird at first. Invest in a side hustle. Not scrolling TikTok for side hustle ideas, actually putting money into a real one. I know what you might be thinking. Nick, a side hustle isn't a purchase, it's just something you do. But that mindset is exactly why most people fail at it. They think a side hustle is supposed to be free. They want to make money without ever spending any to get started. The reality? Most meaningful side hustles need at least a little upfront investment. Gear, tools, software, a course, a domain, a basic website, a better laptop, something. Think about it like this. You're not buying a hustle, you're buying a small engine that can print money for you for years. I've seen people spend $800 on a new iPhone they don't need, but panic at the idea of spending $200 on a course that teaches them a skill they can charge for. One of my friends in his early 20s spent about $400 on a used camera and some basic editing software. Started shooting photos for local businesses, real estate agents, and couples. He wasn't a genius, just consistent. That $400 turned into thousands in extra income within a year. Within a few years, it became a full-time business. Another person I know put a few hundred into learning web design. Bought a domain, some hosting, a couple of solid courses. Now they charge $2,000 to $5,000 per website. Same age, same economy, different choices. The key is this: don't chase what looks hottest on the internet this week. Build on what you're already good at or naturally curious about. If you love cars, maybe your side hustle is detailing, flipping, or doing mobile repairs. If you understand tech, build websites, manage social media, edit videos. If you're great with people, maybe it's tutoring, coaching, or sales. Ask yourself,
What skill could I become known for if I invested a bit of money and a lot of effort into it? Then spend strategically, tools, basic branding, and education to get that first paying client. And hey, if you're still here, that tells me you're serious. Do me a favor, hit like, drop a comment with a side hustle you're thinking about starting, and share this with someone who keeps talking about a side hustle but never moves. They need this. Because a side hustle is powerful, but it's not enough by itself. If the money comes in and then disappears the second it hits your account, you're just running faster on the same treadmill. That's where purchase number 2 comes in. Buy ownership in the market through index funds inside a tax-advantaged account. This is where the boring magic happens.
In the US, that might be a Roth IRA. In Canada, a TFSA or RRSP. In the UK, a Stocks and Shares ISA. Different names, same basic idea. You buy a piece of hundreds of companies at once, keep fees low, and let time do the heavy lifting while the government takes less of your growth. Let's run a simple example. If you invest just $200 a month into a low-cost S&P 500 index fund starting at age 22, and it grows at around 10% per year, which is roughly the historical average, by 67, you're looking at over $1 million. $200 a month, less than $7 a day. Millionaire. Now here's the gut punch. If you wait just 10 years until age 32 and invest the exact same $200 per month, you end up with around $700,000 instead. Same effort, same amount, same fund. 10 years later start cost you about 300 grand. That's what time does. That's why your 20s matter so much. Now, no one can guarantee future returns. Markets go up, down, sideways. But over long periods, broad index funds have historically beaten most fancy stock picking and high-fee funds. Think of index funds as the calm friend who doesn't brag, doesn't show off, but always shows up. Now, they won't give you a wild story to tell at parties. They just quietly grow while you live your life.
And if you do this inside a Roth IRA, TFSA, or ISA, most or all of your gains are tax-free. That matters a lot when we're talking about decades. The secret weapon here? Automation. You set it up so that every month, money leaves your checking account before you see it and goes straight into your investments. If you never see it, you don't miss it. You don't forget to invest. You don't spend it on random stuff. If that math hits you like a truck, pause this video, hit like, share it with someone younger than you, and subscribe, because no one explained this to most of us at 18 or 20 or 25. Now, you might be thinking, okay, Nick, I get it, side hustle, index funds, long-term wealth. But am I allowed to have any fun in my 20s? Absolutely. That brings us to purchase number 3. Buy a plane ticket. But not to flex on Instagram, to expand your brain. Travel, done right, in your 20s is one of the highest ROI experiences you can buy. This is not about all-inclusive resorts you barely leave. I'm talking about figuring out how to navigate a foreign city with a backpack, a map app, and a few words of the local language. When you travel smart, you learn to solve problems fast in places you don't understand. You become more confident in uncertain situations. You see how other people live, work, and think. Maybe you're staying in a cheap hostel in Lisbon, and you meet someone building a remote business. Maybe you're in a cafe in Mexico City, and you run into a designer, a developer, a filmmaker. You connect, you trade ideas, you see what's possible beyond your hometown bubble. Those connections can lead to opportunities years later, jobs, partnerships, ideas you'd never have had if you stayed home. Here's how to do it without destroying your finances. Use travel reward credit cards responsibly. Get a card with solid points. Put your normal spending on it, groceries, gas, bills, and pay it off in full every single month. No balance, no interest. Over time, those points can turn into flights and hotels you barely pay for. You're building credit, you're collecting points. You're buying experiences, not just stuff. And if you're watching this thinking, I've always wanted to travel, but I'm scared to go alone or worried I can't afford it, let this be your nudge. Start small. One trip, one country, one weekend. You're not just buying memories, you're buying perspective. If you'd love more videos on traveling smart and cheap, hit like, share this with your travel buddy, and subscribe so you don't miss them. Now, travel is great, but let's zoom in on something even more powerful. Purchase number 4. Buy education that actually pays you back. Not necessarily the $100,000 degree everyone told you you had to get. I'm talking about books, online courses, workshops, certifications, mentorship, anything that makes you more valuable in the marketplace. A $20 book that rewires how you think about money, discipline, or business can literally change your life. A $200 course that legitimately teaches you copywriting, coding, editing, design, sales, any high-demand skill can increase your earning power by thousands. But here's the key word: legitimate. Ignore the people standing next to rented supercars promising six figures in 6 weeks if you just buy their $997 secret formula. Look for people with real track records, people who have been doing the thing they're teaching for years, whose free content is already valuable before they try to sell you anything. Your brain in your 20s is insanely adaptable. You can learn skills now that will feel almost impossible to pick up from scratch at 45. Every new skill is like adding another tool to your toolbox. You might not use all of them every day, but when an opportunity pops up, you're ready. Coding, sales, design. Not necessarily the $100,000 degree everyone told you you had to get. I'm talking about books, online courses, workshops, certifications, mentorship, anything that makes you more valuable in the marketplace. A $20 book that rewires how you think about money, discipline, or business can literally change your life. A $200 course that legitimately teaches you copywriting, coding, editing, design, sales, any high-demand skill can increase your earning power by thousands. But here's the key word: legitimate. Ignore the people standing next to rented supercars promising six figures in 6 weeks if you just buy their $997 secret formula. Look for people with real track records, people who have been doing the thing they're teaching for years, whose free content is already valuable before they try to sell you anything. Your brain in your 20s is insanely adaptable. You can learn skills now that will feel almost impossible to pick up from scratch at 45. Every new skill is like adding another tool to your toolbox. You might not use all of them every day, but when an opportunity pops up, you're ready. Coding, sales, design, writing, negotiation, project management, public speaking. Pick one. Invest in learning it properly. Practice in the real world. Your income will eventually reflect the skills you stack.
And remember, if any part of this is hitting you like, why did no one tell me this sooner? Smash that like button so this video gets pushed to more people, and share it with someone in your life who is in their 20s and drifting. Because now we're about to talk about a purchase that terrifies a lot of people your age, but can completely transform your wealth. Purchase number 5. Buy real estate. I know, you might be thinking, dude, I can barely afford groceries. How am I supposed to buy a house? But hear me out. You don't need a mansion. You don't even need a house in your dream neighborhood. What you need is a property that works as a wealth-building tool. Real estate done right grows your wealth in 3 main ways. 1, it can appreciate over time. The property itself often increases in value. Not every year, not guaranteed, but over decades, historically, it tends to go up. 2, you can generate income by renting out part or all of it. That rent can cover your mortgage and sometimes even give you cash flow. 3, you're using leverage. With a relatively small down payment, you control a much more valuable asset. You're building equity using other people's money, your tenants, and the bank. If buying a place to live alone sounds impossible, think house hacking. That might mean buying a duplex, living in one unit and renting out the other. Or buying a 3-bedroom house, living in one room, and renting out the other 2 to roommates. Or, in the right area and with local rules on your side, renting out a room or a unit on Airbnb. Suddenly, you're not just a broke 20-something. You're a landlord. You own an asset. People are literally helping you pay off your property. Is it easy? No. There will be repairs, awkward conversations, vacancies, leaky sinks at 11 p.m. But think long-term. 10 years from now, would you rather have paid 10 years of rent to someone else or 10 years of mortgage where a chunk of every payment went into your own equity? And remember how we talked about cheap, reliable transportation and strong credit? Those play directly into your ability to qualify for a mortgage and afford a property. These decisions are all connected. If real estate is something you want me to dive deeper into, how to actually run the numbers, how to vet a deal, Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone you'd actually consider buying a place with. Yes, that conversation might change your life. All right, let's talk about a purchase almost everyone in their 20s gets wrong. Purchase number 6. Buy cheap, reliable transportation. Notice I didn't say buy a nice car. I said transportation, because a car can either be a tool or a financial anchor.
Most people in their 20s use cars as a status symbol. They finance a $30,000 or $40,000 car with a payment of $400, $500, $600 a month just to look like they're doing well. Here's what they're really doing: signing up to send a huge chunk of their paycheck every month into something that is guaranteed to go down in value. Cars are not investments. They depreciate the moment you drive them off the lot. Now imagine instead you buy a 3 to 5-year-old Honda Civic, Toyota Corolla, Mazda, something with a reputation for reliability for $10,000, $15,000. You pay cash if you can, or you finance it over the shortest possible term. It's not flashy. No one stops you in the parking lot to say, "Whoa, sick Corolla." But here's what you gain: lower payments or no payments, cheaper insurance, fewer repairs, and hundreds of dollars a month freed up to do smarter things. Let's say you avoid a $500 monthly car payment and invest that $500 at an 8% return over 30 years. That could grow to over $600,000. That's the real cost of needing a fancy car in your 20s. Not just the payment, the wealth you never built because that money went into metal, rubber, and ego. And there's another hidden benefit. When your monthly obligations are low, you have options.
You can quit a job you hate, take a lower-paying role that has better growth potential, go all in on a side hustle for 6 months, move cities, take a risk. You are less trapped. If you're watching this in your car right now, do a quick check. Is this thing moving you forward or quietly holding you back? If you appreciate straight talk like this, no sugarcoating, hit like, share this video with the person you know who just financed a car to impress people, and subscribe. Maybe it wakes them up. Now, we've talked money, skills, travel, assets, cars. Time for the one purchase that silently controls all of it. Purchase number 7. Invest in your health. This one is so underrated because the bill for neglecting it doesn't show up right away. But your health determines how hard you can work, how creative you can be, how long you can sustain a side hustle, and whether you'll actually be around to enjoy the wealth you're building. I'm not saying you need to spend thousands on the fanciest gym or boutique fitness classes. I'm talking about simple, boring investments. Decent groceries instead of living on fast food and energy drinks, a basic gym membership you actually use, a good mattress, a doctor's visit when something feels off instead of ignoring it, maybe therapy or coaching if your mental health desperately needs attention. Your 20s are when most people act like they're invincible. All-nighters, zero movement, junk food, alcohol every weekend, constant stress. And then they wonder why they feel exhausted, anxious, and unmotivated. Here's the harsh truth. If your body and mind are running at 60%, your money strategy will never run at 100%. You'll skip the side hustle work because you're too tired. You'll make impulsive money decisions because you're stressed and burned out. You'll struggle to think long-term when you're just trying to survive the week. Think of money and health as two sides of the same coin. You're not trying to be fit just to look good on a beach. You're trying to be healthy enough to play the long game. Better sleep, better decisions. Better food, more consistent energy. Exercise, better mood, less stress, clearer thinking. It's all connected. The hidden expense of ignoring your health in your 20s isn't just future medical bills. It's opportunities you miss because you're exhausted, foggy, or constantly battling preventable issues. If you've been feeling like your energy is low, your focus is trash, or your mood is all over the place, your next investment might not be another stock. It might be a pair of running shoes, a gym key card, or a therapy session. And if you want content not just about money, but about building a life that actually feels good, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a gentle push to take care of themselves. Now, let's zoom out. We've talked about 7 purchases: a side hustle, index funds, travel, real education, real estate, cheap, reliable transportation, your health. These are not 7 random ideas. They form a system. Your side hustle income makes it easier to invest in index funds. Your index fund investing builds long-term security.
Your travel opens your mind and creates connections for new opportunities. Your education levels up your earning power. Your real estate accelerates wealth and gives you leverage. Your cheap car keeps your monthly costs low so you can fund all of the above. Your health gives you the energy to actually execute on everything. And here's where most people blow it. They try to do all of this at once, perfectly, starting Monday. They decide, I'm going to start 3 side hustles, max out my Roth or TFSA, buy a house, travel the world, quit junk food, go to the gym 6 days a week, and never, ever order Uber Eats again. By Wednesday, they're overwhelmed. By Friday, they've quit on everything and are back to buying stuff that makes them feel good for 5 minutes. Don't do that to yourself. The smart move is to prioritize.
Ask yourself honestly, where am I right now? If you're buried in high-interest credit card debt, your first focus might be start a side hustle and cut expenses, especially the car and the eating out, to wipe that debt out fast. If you're earning okay money but saving nothing, your move might be automate a small monthly contribution into an index fund and keep your transportation cheap. If you're stable but stuck and uninspired, maybe you need a course, a trip, a new skill, something to shake up your perspective and open new doors. Maybe you're grinding so hard you've ignored your body for years. Then your first purchase might be a gym membership, a blender, and a decent pair of shoes. You don't need to fix everything this week. You just need one meaningful step in the right direction, and then another, and another. Here's the part nobody talks about. Building wealth in your 20s is not just about math. It's about identity. Can you be okay with being the boring one in your friend group? The one driving the older car? The one leaving the party early because you've got work tomorrow? The one saying no to the 5th expensive brunch this month? Can you handle your friends joking that you're cheap while quietly knowing you're building something they can't see yet? Can you resist the urge to upgrade your lifestyle every single time you get a raise? That's the test.
Because if you learn to live below your means now, invest consistently, and delay a little gratification, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be better than spend everything I make and hope it works out. The people who end up genuinely wealthy usually aren't the smartest. They're the ones who build decent habits early and then let time and compound interest do the heavy lifting. The people who stay stuck, they repeat the same short-term decisions over and over. Buy to impress, finance everything, ignore health, never invest, blame the system, repeat. Here's the reality. Your 20s are going to pass anyway. 10 years from now, you're going to be 30. The only question is, will you look back and think, where did it all go? What did I even do with my money? Or will you look back and realize I quietly built a foundation that now gives me actual choices? Because that's what this is about. It's not about being rich for the sake of being rich. It's about freedom. The freedom to wake up and decide, what do I want to do today? Who do I want to work with? Where do I want to live? How do I want my life to feel? Instead of, what do I have to do today so I don't miss a payment? Every purchase in your 20s is a vote. New car you can't afford? You just voted for looking successful over being successful.
Night after night of takeout, no savings, no investments? You just voted for short-term comfort over long-term freedom. A few hundred into a side hustle, a book, an index fund, a gym membership? You just voted for your future self. The wild thing? You don't need to be perfect to win this game. You just need to start. One side hustle, one investment, one trip, one book, one property, one less car payment, one workout. And then keep going. If you've made it this far, you're already different from most people. Most people don't watch a 15 to 20-minute video about money and life all the way through. So here's your reward, your challenge. Before you go to bed tonight, pick one of these 7 purchases and make a move. Not research it for 3 hours, an actual move. Sign up for the investing account. Buy the book or that legit course. Message a friend about starting a side hustle together. Book the cheap flight. Start saving for that down payment. List your car for sale and downgrade. Sign up for the gym and schedule your first workout. One concrete step. 10 years from now, you will either thank yourself for what you did tonight or wish you had.
If this video gave you even one new way of thinking, don't keep it to yourself. Hit like so the algorithm knows this matters. Share it with at least one person in their 20s who you care about. And subscribe if you want more honest, no BS conversations about money, freedom, and building a life that actually feels like yours. I'll leave you with this. You can spend your 20s buying proof that you're doing okay, or you can spend your 20s quietly buying your freedom. Only one of those will still matter in 30 years. Choose carefully.